I always do this. I always never bring up my notes before I start filming, and I should really just do that. Hi everyone, and welcome back to Big City Bee. I'm Bee for those of you who are just joining me for the first time. Happy New Year everyone! It is 2021. As you can tell, I've changed up my filming background a little bit. I know it's a little barren. I'm eventually gonna add some more things to this back wall, but this is a little bit more comfortable for me, and I got this sweet new light, so wanted to showcase that light off. 2020 was a hectic year, but there were some good parts that did come of it. So here is my 2020 wrap up. To start the year of 2020, I carried over a book from 2019. I started Lost Roses by Martha Hall Kelly in December of 2019, and I finished it the first week of January 2020. I gave this book a 4 stars, so I think that's a pretty good start to the year. I really want to do what my highlights were for 2021, so I'm gonna do what my 5-star reads were. For the first 5-star read I had in February. I started in February and then finished in March, and that was The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. And you all know how much I love this book. It was my first review on here. Terrible color editing, that's gonna haunt me forever. But it was just so wonderful and such a good reader's book. Like, it definitely tailored to the people who love to read, and it was just like all-encompassing, the perfect world for a reader. My next 5-star book wasn't until May, and that was Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. So it took me a little bit of time in between March and May to find another 5-star book, but that's not to say that I didn't have books that I really enjoyed. I looked back at my Goodreads challenge, and I did have a lot of 4-star books within that time frame. But Where the Crawdads Sing was just so beautiful to me. Just the poetry in it, the whole kind of mystery on whodunit of the crime in the story. It just... The next and last 5-star book for me for 2020 was actually also in May, and that was The Invincible Summer of Juniper Jones by Davin McQueen. This one again was just another great, almost nostalgia-inducing summer read, and it was really heart-wrenching. I cried my eyes out the last quarter of the book, and it was just really beautiful. So while that's the end of my 5-star reads, I did have a lot of 4-star books that I really enjoyed, and a few that were almost there on the 5-star but didn't quite make it. So you can't really have a 2020 wrap up without talking about just the shit shows that were happening in 2020. And for me, those are some One Honeypot reads. The first One Honeypot read was Platform 7. Not to be confused with Station 11, which I hear is really great and is on my to-read list, along with a bunch of other books, but Platform 7 was my first big disappointing read of the year. I thought it had a really interesting premise, but the premise in the summary was not what the book was actually about, so you can find that review here if you would like to watch it. The second One Honeypot read that I had for 2020 was Death with Interruptions. And I feel like maybe this is just me personally that didn't like it, although I felt like Goodreads also kind of agreed with me on it, but it was just long and meandering, and I just was so bored throughout the whole book. I didn't find any redeeming qualities to it. The third and last One Honeypot read for 2020 was Something in the Water. This just kind of cinched out my really bad luck in thriller mystery novels. This one I had to read for a work book club, and I was so not a fan of it. I really did not like it. That being said, those were all of my One Honeypot reads for 2020. So I had 3 5 Honeypot Reads, and 3 1 Honeypot Reads. So I think that's pretty good. I had a lot of 4 Honeypots and 3 Honeypots and only a couple handfuls of 2 Honeypot Reads for 2020. So at least there were some redeeming qualities to all of the books that I was able to read for 2020. That brings me to my last point. For 2020, it was my original goal to read 36 books for the year. Well, halfway through the year, after I started BookTube, I realized I was way gonna surpass that early in the year, so I decided to up my goal to 48. And my real goal was 50, but I felt too intimidated by that number given that that was more than 4 books a month. So on Goodreads, I just put it as 48 and called it a day. If I read more than that, I would be happy. Ending 2020 with a huge reading slump, I might add. I read 53 books this year. Yay! I find that really exciting. I was really proud of myself for being able to read that many books, and just all around I thought it was a great end to the year that I was able to expand my reading horizons, try new books that I wouldn't have found before, and find some really good favorites. My last book that I read for 2020 was actually a comic book, and it was in November because, like I said, I had a huge reading slump at the end of 2020. I think I was just in book burnout, and then the start of the holidays, I was visiting my family, it just all became too much. So the comic book that I ended my year on was Heart and Brain, a Awkward Yeti collection by Nick Selleck. And I ended up giving this one a 3-star, so ending my 2020 on a meh note, which kind of seems fitting. The year was a little crappier than meh, but overall it was meh for me. So that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for joining me again, and I look forward to a new year with you and new reading goals and new favorites, and I can't wait to see what you all have to say. Let me know down in the comments either what your 2021 reading goal is or what's an anticipated read for you in 2020. Alrighty everyone, that's all I have for you. All the best always. Bye!